Carlos Ponce. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Tulio.
Carlos is joining us from Mexico City, and I'm in Los Angeles, in a very strange Los Angeles right now with curfews and all kinds of craziness going on. But here we are, recapping last week's Dojo Live. We had two guests last week. One was Lomit Patel, who was talking about, he's the author of Lean AI, and he was talking about the importance of investing as an organization or even as a startup in your own fate on how you're going to manage ad spend and marketing dollars. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. And then we also had Dr. Aurora Benton, who was talking about sustainability. I love the idea of developing green teams. Carlos, what came up for you out of these two conversations? Let's start with Lomit first, and then go into Aurora, and we try to do this in 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, Tulio. Thank you so much. Well, as we have discussed in the past I have a kind of a special take on AI and all things AI. Even you may call it mixed feelings about the whole thing, although as much as interesting it can be. But what I can tell you about our conversation with Lomit is that, one of the things that I really look forward to in the very, very near future is see, especially in the what he's doing with what was the pronunciation? IMVU, as his company, IMVU. I'm very keen to the idea of learning more about what's in store for us in terms of how much of that virtual setting is going to replace the actual, the real human live interactions. So because we talked about the context of COVID-19 was, okay, we're going more digital, people are relating in a different way, but still, I look forward to see what's going to happen and specifically in this realm of avatars and digital worlds, and also about the world of startups, how they use it to boost their marketing, so to speak. That's also something that I don't know much about AI myself, but I'm kind of a spectator more in all things AI. But I'm very keen to see what's coming. How about you? You're the tech expert. So
I spent about 8 to 10 years in the ad tech space. So
yeah,
what he was talking about really resonated with me, and I thought it was interesting because being in tech for 30 years, I've seen the evolution from build in-house to enterprise software to SaaS solutions, right? Which do speed and flexibility. And I thought it was interesting where he was saying is those are all great, especially if you're doing ad spend on like real-time bidding platforms or all these DSPs that automate a lot of your spend. But you're not truly in control because you are still at the mercy of someone else deciding what's best for you. You can pull the levers, turn the knobs and such, but I found it interesting that he was saying, as an organization, you start thinking about investing in building your own metrics system and your own, using AI to be smart about where you're getting your return on investment and being able to turn those knobs and leverage yourself, which was completely contrary to what's being pushed out there, which is, to buy SaaS products or enterprise solutions. And I just thought it was interesting how they made that a long tail investment. I mean, it took them 2 years to get there, which is a very difficult thing for a startup to commit to anything for 2 years, right? But it paid off, and now they're getting returns in a matter of months versus versus doing something that they may not see traction on for 6 months and trial and error sort of situation. So I found it encouraging that the cost of implementing AI has come down. The ability to put in place solutions that will benefit your organization and doing it yourself is not as big of a hurdle as it used to be. And so it was an interesting conversation, encouraging more investment to do more in-house type of analytics and solutions versus just looking at, software companies that already have built stuff. He wasn't suggesting not to do that. He was suggesting to even find partners that are willing to be more flexible with solutions that meet your needs. So I thought that was interesting. The conversation with Aurora was fascinating because sustainability is such a big topic, especially nowadays. And a lot of organizations shy away from it because they think it's expensive and, they can't rally people around it. and million excuses as to why not to do it, but there's more reasons to do it. And I found it refreshing toward the end of the conversation when she said, if you want to start your journey towards sustainability, just create a green team. And
green team, exactly.
I was like, what's a green team? And it was like a group of people that have a common interest to make your organization more green, who get together and start creating a model to educate the rest of the organization, to make the right investments, to move the agenda forward towards becoming a more green organization. I thought, wow, that's an easy thing to do. It doesn't cost any money to do that, actually, just a bunch of volunteers who are passionate about doing that. And I really thought about that. I was like, man, we should probably put together a green team ourselves and start looking at those scenarios and opportunities, especially in our environment, which is a self-managed type of organization where, you don't need to have the top-down push it. It can work from anyone in the organization. What came up for you during that conversation?
Well, definitely the name, because there is an intention to the name of the company. Her company is Astrapto, and she did explain to us that it has something to do with enlightening or something along. I don't know if you remember, but that was like the first thing that jumped at me was the name. It's about enlightening people. It's about the need for others to be fully aware, especially company owners, to be fully aware of what needs to be done, what sort of programs need to be implemented internally in order to become a sustainable organization. And especially even more so in the case of in the hospitality world, for example, which there might be large hotels or resorts that might have an impact on the environment as a whole. And then to a lesser scale, maybe other aspects like she mentioned composting, which I'm a fan of, by the way. So the challenges that are facing these companies are: is it going to be how can I say this, financially sustainable for the company as well? Not only performing sustainable actions towards keeping the environment as it is, as pristine as possible, but also how our company is going to be able to do that without any kind of financial harm. So it's kind of it's a tricky situation where where her consulting comes in, right?
Yeah, it's definitely something worth navigating. Like the idea of companies that just, we change LED lights everywhere, now we're green. You don't have to necessarily make that kind of investment to go green. I mean, there's so many other scenarios in terms of just getting into the practice of shutting the lights at the end of the day when you leave the office, right? So that's just education. That just requires an awareness of your footprint and how are you using energy, for example. That doesn't require any investment at all. So and there's often the complaint that the leadership isn't doing anything about this. Why aren't we pushing more towards green? And the idea of like, well, if it's that important, then do it. Organize a few people and start educating the entire organization about what it means to be green. What can you do that doesn't cost anything? So, for companies that don't have that in place, it's so easy to put in place. And if you need help doing it in a bigger way, Aurora is definitely there to help with that. So we have that information on the website.
Absolutely.
Well, anything else, Carlos? Otherwise, that's the recap for today. I wanted to just talk about what we got coming up this week as our guests.
Yeah, actually, yes. This week, tomorrow, we're going to be having a conversation on Dojo Live at 1 p.m. with Shannon Bex from Books with a V. And we're going to be talking about digital distribution of books, especially children's books, which are, she mentioned to me that they're becoming more and more in demand these days because a lot of kids are being stuck at home. And so that's going to be on tomorrow, actually. I'm sorry, not Wednesday. Tomorrow, conversation with Shannon Bex from Books with a V. And also,
very timely with the summer coming around and possibly not a whole lot of summer camps and things like that opening up. Probably good technology and tools for keeping your kids busy and learning. So looking forward to that conversation tomorrow. And Wednesday, what are we picking up?
Wednesday, we're going to be speaking with Laurie McCabe from the SMB Group, a consulting firm. and about something really cool and interesting, but I don't have a topic, Tulio, to be honest. So I'm going to go after this, but should be great as pretty much as each and every one of Dojo Life's conversations are. Just keep an eye for SMB Consulting with Laurie McKay, one of the principals at SMB Consulting, on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific.
Great. Well, come back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll make sure we'll keep it interesting for you. And until then, have a good one. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe. Be well. Thank you so much. Bye.